Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our third session of Afternoon Tea with Gareth. We're looking at John 13 through to 17, and this afternoon we're going to be looking at John chapter 14, verse 1 to 14. Grab your Bibles and let's get stuck right in. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Jesus is starting to sense a bit of tension amongst his disciples, I suspect. We've had Judas flee the scene. We've had Peter start asking Jesus about where he's going, what's going to be happening. Jesus has just said that he's leaving them. And so I think Jesus is starting to sense that the disciples are feeling a bit concerned. And so he wants to comfort them. And he comforts them by saying, don't let your hearts be troubled. And he gives them a whole bunch of reasons why their hearts need not be troubled. The first is that message of assurance. Believe in God and believe also in me. What I'm doing is trustworthy. I'm in control, and I want you to be comforted by that. Secondly, I'm going because I'm going to prepare a place for you. Jesus uses this metaphor of heaven as the Father's house. And Jesus is saying that he doesn't want them to be troubled because he needs to go there so that he can prepare a place for them. Now, it's not as if there is an empty shell in heaven that Jesus needs to renovate, do an extreme makeover for, decorate it, etc. It's rather that as he goes, the preparation for the place is happening. The place is already there, but Jesus needs to go there, and that going is the preparation. His death and resurrection is part of the preparation for that place. Now, he also comforts his disciples by saying to them, relax, I'm coming back at a later stage. I will come fetch you, and I'm taking you there with me. The final thing he says to them with regard to not letting their hearts be troubled is that never mind the place. You actually already know the way to the place I'm going. Now that, of course, absolutely dumbfounds Thomas. And he says in verse 5, Lord, we don't know where you're going. So how can we know the way? It's a good question. But Jesus gives him a straightforward answer. I am the way and the truth and the life. Thomas, you know the way because you know me, and I am the way. It's one of my favorite I am statements from John's Gospel. It's really one that speaks to the heart of the exclusivity of the Christian faith. People often say that there are many ways to Jesus, but there is only one way to God. And that is 100% true. Friends, there aren't many ways to God, not according to the Bible. There is one way to God, and that way is Jesus. Jesus is the truth. He's the one who fully reveals God. He's the one who makes God known. And so he's the truth in that regard. He is the way and the truth and the life. He, in John chapter 11, says he's the resurrection and the life. He's the one who gives life. Writing in the 1300s, a Christian by the name of Thomas à Kempis said the following with regards to John 14:6. Follow thou me, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Without the way, there is no going. Without the truth, there is no knowing. Without the life, there is no living. I am the way which you must follow. I am the truth which you must believe. I am the life for which you must hope. Friends, no one comes to the Father except through Jesus. And so if you want to know God, you need to know the Son. And that sparks another question for Philip, Jesus' other disciple, in verse 8. Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. If you want to see the Father, well, it's simple. You look at the Son. If you want to know the Father, you get to know the Son. Jesus says in verse 10 that the words he speaks aren't his own authority. In other words, the Father gives him the authority to say the words that he says. So Jesus even speaks the words of the Father. The works themselves, he says, I'm in the Father and the Father is in me, verse 11. So if you want to see God at work, well, look at the works I perform. Jesus is using such intimate language between him and the Father. But it's beautiful language because it's so clear to us. You want to know God? You get to know his Son. The Son fully reflects the Father. And what's even more so is that Just as Jesus does what the Father says, so we'll do what Jesus says in one way. Our relationship with Jesus mirrors the relationship that He has with God the Father. Jesus says in verse 12, you're going to do greater things if you believe in me. The works you do will be greater. Whatever you ask for in my name, I'll do that. Anything you ask for, I will do it. Jesus' main purpose is the glory of the Father. So what Jesus is not saying here is that you can ask for anything you wish for and He'll give it to you. What Jesus is saying is that anything you ask for that is aligned with Jesus' purposes of glorifying the Father, well, that He will grant to you. Everything that Jesus does is for the glory of the Father. And so it's in that context that we will do greater things. We will do things that bring glory to the Father in ways that Jesus couldn't. We have the full revelation. While Jesus was on earth, He could perform miracles, but they were partly veiled. The things He was doing was partly veiled because we hadn't yet experienced the death and resurrection of Jesus, which gives its full meaning to who Jesus was and what He came to do. It's after the resurrection that the disciples will have the full understanding, the full extent of knowledge that they need. And so in that way, the works will be far greater. It's once Jesus is with the Father that we can ask for anything in His name and that we'll be able to do it. Friends, our prayer should be that we will do things that bring glory to the Father just as the Son did it. And so I want you to be encouraged by this message. Don't let your hearts be troubled. The Son is coming back to fetch all of us, and He will take us with Him to be with Him. But just remember that it's only through the Son that we can go through the Father. Well, I hope that you've been encouraged by that message. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for some more afternoon tea. Have a good one.